Hello, guys. My name is Henrique. Welcome to Brazilian Guy Reads. This is a project where I want to document my journey through reading in another language, right? And since I was a little kid, I used to love reading fantasy books. Of course, my first love was Lord of the Rings, as you can see, Gandalf, and the trilogy here. And as I got older, I got in contact with other fantasy books like A Song of Ice and Fire, which is a series that I do love. And not through books, but through the games, I fell in love with The Witcher, which is my favorite game, The Witcher 3. And that made me want to dive deeper into fantasy. However, being a Brazilian living in Brazil, most of the fantasy books that I get in contact with and read it and some YouTube videos here, they are not translated and not published in Brazil. And when I finished reading A Song of Ice and Fire, I really wanted to tackle something new. I finished A Song of Ice and Fire, so finished. I finished the available books, of course. I wanted to tackle something new, and browsing through Reddit, I got the series that people recommended me the most were two, right? They were The Wheel of Time and Malazan Book of the Fallen. I started with The Wheel of Time because people people tend to say that Malazan Book of the Fallen is a little bit complicated, right? A little bit confusing, which makes the hardest fantasy to read. However, as you see in my opinion later in the video, that's not exactly my opinion. I don't find it that hard, but I got to the Wheel of Time first, and I loved Wheel of Time. Got overwhelmed by it. I read from Eye of the World through The Shadow Rising, and then I got a little tired of it, and I said, okay, let's make a stop here. Let's pause the Wheel of Time for a little while, and let's try to tackle Malazan. And I I purchased the ebook for not the eye, the ebook for Gardens of the Moon, which I found a little bit confusing for sure. And unfortunately, I won't be able to make a review for Gardens of the Moon. I read that almost a year ago, and of course, as you guys know, you fellow readers of Malazan, it would be impossible for me to recall all the details to make an appropriate review or my to document my journey. So I'm gonna start documenting my journey with Deadhouse Gates. So as I'm Brazilian, as I live in Brazil, these books, I think the first two are translated, but since the other eight are not, I decided to start reading that in English. And to buy the paperbacks here, it would be really, really, really expensive. So I'm going to read them fully on my Kindle on ebooks. And so I just finished that House Gates. So I thought, okay, I've been wanting to create this channel for a long time. I've been wanting to kickstart that. And what better time than just finishing a book in English, which is the main focus here to document my journey into reading books in English in another language, right? And that's it. So this video is going to be a review of my journey, my thoughts on that House Gates. And first, just a little background. When I read Gardens of the Moon, at first I was like, okay, this is not that confusing what people were talking about. And then it got confusing. Right? The first chapters, I was like, okay, those are a lot of names, a lot of characters, there's a lot of things going on. And there was no background for these things. They are just happening. You are thrown into this mess, but you can grasp some things. And by grasping these things, you manage to understand the whole story. It wasn't until the, I think, the adjunct Lorne, if I'm not mistaken, um, the agent Lorne was traveling with a jacket. Is that how it's pronounced? Guys, if I mispronounce the names, I'm sorry. That's not my first language, it's not my mother tongue, and I may mispronounce the name, so I'm sorry in advance. So when they were journeying, Agent Lorne and the jacket, I started feeling a little bit lost. And then in that ending in the Rujistan, if I'm not mistaken, when all that final situation with the jacket happened, I think I got it right. And there were lots of amazing characters. Like I loved Anomander Rake. He had that badass aura right on him, and I really loved it. Um, and okay, I finished that. I was like, okay, I like that. I'm excited to read book two. Let's see what's going on. Let's get more from these characters. There were lots of interesting characters, like the guys from Bridge Burners, right? Callum and Fiddler. Whiskey Jack was nice also. Um, all the sorcery and the magic system is just there with not a lot of explanation, which I like. I don't like magic being thoroughly explained because I think it loses the sense of magic, right? And okay, I was like, okay, I want to know more. I want to get more from these characters. And then I got to Deadhouse Gates, and surprise, surprise, almost all the characters here are new. Yeah, all the main characters here are new, with the exception of Epsalar, which was sorry turned into Epsalar. I don't know if that was her original name before becoming sorry. And Crocus, I think, Callum and Fiddler. And that's it. I think that's it. I think those are the characters from book one that we get here. And we are presented to these new characters. Um, and this book, I have to say that House Gates feels a little more, it feels a little more, what's the word for this? Cohesive, is that word? It's coeso in Portuguese, so cohesive, I think that is a word, because it has this journey, which is a journey through the desert, which is amazing. And on this journey, things converge to a place. Everyone is going to that place, and on that place, something very big will happen, which I really enjoyed. And at first, I have to state this here. This is going to be a spoiler review, okay? It won't be a spoiler-free review. I don't think you can talk about Malazan books without spoiling things, because you have to talk about the scenes in themselves to in order to explain what you feel, right? So first part. I think the first three characters we get in contact with are Felicin, Bodan, and Haboric, I don't know. And at first, I really despised Felicin, not because she couldn't be the way she is. I know she suffered a lot. She's just a kid. She has been through a lot of. She's been abused, right? She's been sexually abused. She's been mentally abused, and I got it. But sometimes it felt like, come on, these guys are helping you. How can you be so ungrateful? Of course, there is this Stockholm syndrome that she has on her captivator, which is Bennett, if I'm not mistaken. And we start following her and these two guys. They get captured by Bennett on being commanded by Agent Tavor, the new agent, who is Felicin's sister, which makes Felicin grow this hatred. She wants to she wants revenge from once what's came into her, right? What came into her. She wants revenge. She wants revenge. She wants to face her sister and get what she deserves, right? And we also get in contact with two of my favorite characters so far, who are Diker, the historian, and Fist Cotain, which is presented like a brute at first, as this barbarian guy who's not civilized, but as the story goes on, you can see he's like an amazing tactician. His army respect him a lot, and you grow fond of him, even though he might be fierce, right? He might be rough with people. You can see that he's thinking about things. He's not just doing this out of spite, right? And Diker has all these all these characteristics that make me love a character. He is intelligent, right? His dialogue is amazing, and I think he brings the emotional, the mix, the mix between the emotional and the rational very, very clearly, because he is a very rational guy, but through his chapters, we get in contact with the most emotional scenes, right? Because during this journey through the desert, right, they are going to go through some ravaged places, right, where all the people were killed, where kids had nothing to eat, they were being killed, two women were being raped, and it's like he is experiencing the decay of humanity, and it conflicts him, right? I think that I think that's it. I think it conflicts him. He has his duty, and as he's doing his duty, he starts feeling, I don't know, maybe lost. Maybe he cannot grasp the sense of it anymore. Maybe he cannot grasp why he's doing it anymore, right? Why he's there? What's the point of it, right? What's the point of all this killing that happens so often? Um, I think I'm I'm sorry, I'm digressing. I think the main plot here is, in the first book we had the Empire trying to conquer these cities and making a plot to conquer these cities, which in part they do. Uh, in the end, they don't fully do it, but and on the second book we get to know these new cities, these so-called free cities, and there is a prophecy that is happening, and this prophecy talks about a rebellion, and this rebellion is called the whirlwind, and this whirlwind is going to be led by this goddess called Shaik. I think that's how it's pronounced. And now these free cities, they are joining to conquer the empire, to conquer the empire, maybe kill the empress and get control of this continent that we are in. And the convergence that we are talking about, we have um, Callum and Fiddler and Absalar and Crocus. They are going after Shaik to deliver her the book, the Drajna book, which is at first necessary to fulfill the prophecy. And then in the middle of the way, Callum gets separated from Fiddler and Absalar and Crocus. And he goes by himself to deliver the book, right? I don't think The four of them were supposed to deliver the book. I think he gets this mission for himself. I don't think the other three are going into the mission to deliver the book. They are all together because they are going to try to kill the Empress, and Absalar and Crocus are trying to go back to Absalar's hometown. That's what's happened. But then they got split. Everything went to shit. And Callum delivers the book, but then Shaik gets killed. And I was like, come on, dude. I was like 300 pages. I don't know if it was that much, but 200 pages or so to get this book delivered. Okay, let's see the whirlwind happening. And then she gets killed, right? And she has like two bodyguards of sorts, and they just stand there waiting. And what happens is that Falicin, who escaped her captivity after much suffering, much pain, after many awful things happening to her, she, through her journey, she goes through a lot. At a point, she and Heboric, and Bodan, they enter a boat, and this boat is controlled by dead Telanai Mass, headless Telanai Mass, and this boat seems to be a warren, which I love the concept of. I love the concept of warrens, but this boat part was weird as hell. But she goes through that, she survives the boat, then she survives a sandstorm, then she, at that time they already met with Cope, which who Diker sent to rescue Heboric, and she survives the boat, she and Heboric, and they start to wander through the desert, and then they meet with this new creature that is presented. I think it's called Divers and Soul Takens, and I got a little bit confused with those creatures. I think I don't actually get them. I still don't get them, but okay, no problem. They seem to be very powerful creatures, and on this encounter, Cope just dies. Cope just get eaten. Cope gets eaten by a pack of rats out of nowhere. No goodbye song, no nothing. He just dies, and I was like, oh my, I was I was enjoying this character. Okay, but I think that's the point when Falicin starts feeling helpless. She loses all the hope. It's like, what am I to do? And she becomes something else, right? She used to hate Bodan, and then she gets fond of Bodan when he comes back and saves her and Heboric from the diver, or so taken. I'm not sure which one now. And then Bodan also dies because he burns the rat, and he thought he was immune to fire. Turns out he wasn't, so he kind of kills himself. And then it's just Falicin and Haverick in the end. And they wander through the desert until they get to the point where Shaik was killed. And Shaik's followers or bodyguards, these two guys, they believe her to be Shaik reborn, which there was a prophecy for it, I think. And I thought that was amazing. I love that part of the book because everything was leading you to believe that the person who was going to be Sheikh Reborn was Absalar, right? Because going to the other POV, Absalar and Crocus and Fiddler, they were wandering in the desert too. They were traveling through the desert, and they get to this place where the other two main characters, one is a Jagged and the other is a Trail, I think is Mapo and Necarian. They are in the place too. They are on a pilgrimage on a pilgrimage to Icarian's destiny. Icarian is a jag who is destined to something which is not fulfilled, and he brings a lot of destruction to the world, yet he doesn't remember it. And he seems like a very caring creature. I love him. He seems like a very nice creature, that thoughtful about other beings, and he felt a little unease with the destruction he caused because he could not remember it. And Mapo, his friend and guardian, and his job was to keep him on the path and somehow not letting him remember the destruction, the killing, everything he caused, because that would probably make him go crazy and unleash this gigantic power that is within him. And I have to say, the friendship of these two guys is amazing. They are really powerful, powerful creatures. I looked at some illustrations. They seem to be like awful also, but they are, I don't know. They seem so nice, right? The way they treat each other, the way they treat other people too. Because in there's a moment that Absalar, Crocus, and Fiddler meet them, and they sort of decide that they are going to take the same journey because that's where they're going, right? Of course, another very important thing on this place, it's like a cave or a temple or something like that. They find a man called Servant, and this man turns out to be Absalar's father, long lost father, and then she reunites with him, and this high mage that is in this temple, he is a servant of Shadow. He's a servant of Shadow Throne, and he he decides that Absalar is meant to be Sheikh Reborn, and that's where we get it from, and that's what makes it like an amazing moment when you realize that actually Felicin is the one to be Sheikh Reborn. Loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it. And they all converge to this place, which is the same type of place that trapped the Jagged in the end of book one. It's like a house. I forgot the name. Azeth. I don't remember. I don't quite remember. This house is like a portal to anywhere in the world where there is another house like this, but it's full of dangers. There's a lot of soul divers and taken. There's soul takers and divers there. There's a lot of very powerful creatures going to that place, and they go there, of course, and a lot of things happen. And also, um, Felicin accepts that she's Sheikh Reborn. She doesn't even need to open the book somehow. I think her journey prepared her to be Sheikh Reborn. I don't think she needed the book in the end. Okay, no problem. And everyone there, these followers, recognize her as Sheikh. And that's a great moment because seeing everything that Felicin went through, you can feel you can feel the moment of realization that now she has power to fight her sister, right? And that's great. And while she is accepting that she's Sheikh Reborn, and the other group is going to this house, I'm going to call it house. Diker is with Kotane, trying to get to Erin, trying to get all these refugees to Erin. and it's been a bloodshed. They are losing all hope. They are being slaughtered by many armies of these different villages or cities. But Kotane shows his strength, right? He shows how much of a badass he is. And he strategizes something and manages to get the refugees to Aaron only to be slaughtered because the High Fist of Aaron did not help them. He forbade their soldiers to help them. And then Kotane is killed among all his all his soldiers. But he fights fiercely to the very end and he saves the refugees, right? So we had this really tough guy, this barbarian guy, who in the end put the refugees' safety first, accomplished his mission, taking the refugees to Aaron, and then die. But he did what he had to do. After that, they get ravaged, and the High Fist accuses Diker of treason because there was this lord with them, and Diker treated him badly when he was with Kotane, and the High Fist decides that it's going to attack these forces, these Shaikh, these whirlwind forces, um, rebellion forces, while they are celebrating their victory, which seems to be a bad move because there are other forces hidden there. And of course, everything goes wrong. The mage that was the High Fist advisor betrayed him, actually kind of sold him to the captain of the rebellion force. And in the end, they have to surrender and then get killed, every single one of them. And that was the moment that got rough for me because I got really fond of Diker and I wasn't ready for the way he got killed. It was rough, man. It was rough. I I got, you know, I, I don't normally cry in books, and I wasn't on the verge of crying, but I felt really really sad. I felt sad by the way he died, dude. But I'm not completely sure he's dead. As I'm not completely sure Kotane is dead because his body disappeared as ravens or crows or something like that. In the When he was being killed, ravens or crows came and covered his body, and then when they left, his body was not there anymore. So I think that Kotane may return, and also because of a scene on the epilogue, I think Diker can come back too because being resuscitated, being reborn is not new in this series, right? We already got that with Ganos Baron, I think. That's it. So that was basically the end of the book, right? And there was the other side, Callum, because he was on a mission to kill the Empress. And dude, when he gets to Malaz City, oh my god, Callum is amazing, dude. There's this scene when he's being hunted by some claws, which is this elite assassin force, and he just seamlessly kills lots of them. And it's not like he's killing. Erickson is showing how he's doing that. It's not random, right? He almost gets killed too. And that scene was amazing. I really loved it. I already enjoyed Callum, but that moment was like, oh my God, he is a force to be reckoned with. Everybody talked about how special he was. He was one of the best law, and that moment really made clear that he is indeed that force to be reckoned with. And then he confronts uh, Lassine, not actually Lassine, but Lassine's voice, which was not there. And then Lassine, Lassine, she arguments about the things she's accused of, about the things Callum accused her of doing, and she defends herself. And at that moment, I don't think that Callum left only because he sensed she was not there for real. I think he had a moment of epiphany. I think he thought that maybe killing her was not the point of it all after the arguments she presented. What do you think about it? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I can be. I'm wrong about lots of things. Anyways, so that ends like this. And when he leaves Lassine's room, or a kind of room where Lassine was supposed to be, he encounters this demon that was accompanying him sometime, Apt, and the rest of the group who traveled to the Azat house and got there. I think it's a Zat house, I don't know, and got there, and they are reunited finally, and it feels good, right, to have them all together, not not one of them dead, right? And and then the final scene is amazing because in the middle of the book you find out that Cotillion and Shadow Throne are actually Calanvet, the old emperor, and Dancer, who was his advisor. They were killed and they ascended. They became gods, right? And there is a talk where Shadow Throne he actually grants some wishes, and then Absalar and her dad they ask to they ask Absalar asks for her bond with Shadow Throne to be seized, and that she wants to go back to her old village. I think it's Itkokan with her dad and became like just a fisherman's daughter again and resume her normal life, which it seems he grants. Fiddler asks to become a soldier again, to re-engage in a battle, I think, in an army, and he's granted that. And Callum, who met with a woman when he was traveling in the desert, and he kind of saved her family, and the woman in the end follows him and saves his life because he was going to get killed by a claw. And it looks like he's going to have, at least for a while, a calm and happy life with that woman. Who knows? Dude, I loved that book. It was really, really, really sad and dark at moments. Yeah, what can you do? The universe, this planet, this continent, everything is going down, right? People are hungry, people are getting slaughtered, all this battle, all this never-ending battle, and characters that you tend to enjoy to like are were killed in a very very brutal way, which was hard to read sometimes. In the beginning, like I said, I did not like Felicin, but you can understand the way she is, right? She's abused, she's raped, and she's just 15, and she develops so well to become something else, which I really enjoyed. And what I'm excited about for the next book, I'm excited to see Shaik confronting Tavor, is that her name? and maybe see the rest of the characters from Guardians of the Moon. Maybe have some more Anomander Rake, maybe have some more Bridge Burners, Whiskey Jack, and the other guys. Do Jack, is he still alive? I don't quite remember, but that was a hell of an experience. I know this review is a mess. Sometimes you caught me here looking up because I don't know if you ever try to organize your thoughts over something complex in another language, in a foreign language, but sometimes you cannot find the correct word. So that's what happened to me. Yeah, Deadhouse Gates, dude. I am going to read the next book soon, not right after, because come on, this was packed with a lot of strong emotions. I don't know if I can go to the next book right now, but I'm think I'm going to read something softer, like Piranesi by Susanna Clark is in my read list, so I think I'm going to tackle that next. I think the next one is Memories of Ice. In a month or so, I will go back to it. And that's it, guys. I hope you enjoy it. I don't know if anybody's going to watch this. This, for me, is going to be a journal, right? I'm just documenting my journey through reading these amazing books in their original language and try to grasp as much as I can from it. If you guys liked it, comment it. I know it's a mess. I know some of the thoughts here are quite a little bit disconnected. I know the choice of words may not be the best at all times, but hey, no problem. Let's just talk amazing books like this one. And that's it. Thank you very much. I'll see you next time when I cover Piranesi, my next read. Bye bye.